Issues. This is Dave Arnold, your host of Cooking Issues, coming to you live from the heart of Manhattan, the Rockefeller Center at Newsstand Studios, joined as usual with John behind me. How you doing?
Doing great, thanks.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Doing well?
Doing well.
This weird, we can't decide what kind of spring it is day?
Yeah, it's really strange, but whatever. As long as it's not dripping sweat heat again, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Got Joe Hazen rocking the panels. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I think good, I think. Yeah.
You look good.
Thanks. Well, it's been a weird. I was taking, my younger son Dax around to look at the colleges that he has to choose between, which is, everyone. It's nice to be able to choose, but then he has to choose, and so I feel like it's a Monday, even though it's a Tuesday. Does that ever happen to you? No, never.
I have Mondays are my Sundays, so today always feels like a Monday.
Everyone's work week is so messed up these days, John.
Yep.
That like I always when I'm seeing someone, I try to gauge the look on their face. Like when I'm at a store, I was like, "Is today your Friday?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, I hear Jackie Molecules over there. I'm assuming in Los Angeles.
Yes, I am in LA still.
Get this, Jack. So we're at this college place yesterday, right? And parents, parents have to ask goofy questions. That's kind of like what you do. And there's always a couple parents who are like, me. And so this one person was like, I'm from LA. How are my kids going to be able to handle the weather out here? We're all like, literally, like my entire section was like, you don't go home. Go home. Anyway, because it was a Northeast college. Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah. Yeah. Got Nastasia in, I'm assuming in coastal Connecticut. How you doing?
Good. I'm good. It's windy here.
Yeah, it was windy down here, but Nastasia, for those of you that don't know, she's like in this like weird little house, like literally right on the water on the Sound, and used to like wind, I guess, right? But now you hate wind.
Yeah, I really hate it. I can't stand it.
Yeah, but it's like that's kind of problematic.
Yeah, I know.
Nastasia's house is so windy. I mean, like, okay. So, like, I guess it's not like the ocean because it's the Long Island Sound, right? So it's like you do have, like, that, like, little pile of rocks, Long Island, like, kind of breaking the breeze coming off of the... but I guess the wind for us goes the other way anyway, right? It comes from behind your back. But it's so windy where Nastasia is that, like, it's kind of a regular thing where someone will call her and be like, hey, your windows are shattered, right? I mean, like, just like a regular thing for you. No?
Yeah.
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 Also, wind travels in many directions, not one. Realize that wind comes from like lots of different directions.
Where you are, you mean? I mean, like generally where we live, they come from the west, like overall.
No.
What do you mean?
No.
That's prevailing westerlies. I'm not making this up. Like that's a thing. Okay. But yes, I mean, obviously it can come from any direction at any given time, right? Is that what you mean? Like at any given time it can switch directions. But where you are, it seems like you can get beaten from any direction.
No, but the rest of the world has names for the winds, for the different directional winds. We're the only country that doesn't know our wind names.
You mean like the prevailing westerlies?
That's the only one you know. What are the rest of them called?
We don't have any here. We have like certain things like nor'easters that come in from different directions, but we don't, that's what we got. We're kind of a boring joint. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you have? What do you name them over there? Like over there, like 80 miles north of me or whatever, it's 30 miles north of me.
Oh, no, never mind. It's complicated.
Okay.
Never mind.
I like a complicated story.
Don't we have the Santa Ana winds over here? I think that's...
And down south we have El Nino.
Yeah, we don't get that.
No, it's no tropics.
I mean, it affects us hugely, but we don't get it. You know what I mean? Hey, Connecticut, interesting. Geologically very interesting state. Super geologically interesting. Anyway, whatever. Got Quinn in Vancouver Island. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good.
Yeah? Really? You sounded non-committal.
Yeah.
Yeah? Really? All right. Now is your chance to say no, actually. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah?
We'll see.
Okay. And, in keeping with the past, it's been a year since we've been doing it, so I don't even need to say it's like a new thing anymore, right, John? Because it's like how we do it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd like to welcome our guest, owner, founder of White Moustache Yogurt, author of Yogurt and Whey, Homa Dashtaki. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
I met you recently at a talk you gave for MoFad, Museum of Food and Drink, at the Essex Street Market upstairs, which was nice. And I guess was that set up by Nasli, our fearless
Yes, it
leader
was.
at part of the kind of Iranian food mafia, as she says. Her words, not mine.
Yeah, follow her off a cliff, that woman, happily.
Yeah, nice. All right, and then also though, introduce your book because we share an editor.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, Melanie from Norton.
That's right.
Yeah,
she match made here today, knowing that I had this ingredient, and she finds very eccentric, esoteric homes for me, and this is a perfect one because I've always loved the cocktail world.
Yeah, well, this is going to be a little weird because it's so funny. Okay, so people who know me as kind of inhuman monster, right, John?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not that I'm not human; it's that like I don't know. How do you put it, Stas? It's like what? I don't like the feelings don't work or something like this. What is it?
Yeah.
And so in reading your book, we're going to get back to our normal shooting the breeze. But in reading your book, like your book is very much about having feelings. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so like a lot of this conversation for me is going to be like working around like someone who clearly like has feelings about things and like the way that I think about things. So it should be fun. Should be good. It's not that I don't have feelings. It's just whatever. We'll get into it. So like so now is the point of a part of the show where we mention if anything interesting happened in the past week in the food, usually in the food realm, but not always. Like I already basically said, I went around to, where, Dax was considering going to college. But, I did have good ice cream at UConn, though. UConn has very good ice cream.
What flavor?
I had, when you're at UConn, I don't know if you have to be in the ag department, but you can take a class in ice cream, right? Which is amazing, right? So, like, to me, like, the ones that I know of, the great ice cream programs are Penn State, UConn, and Cornell, right? As far as I know, I'm sure there are many others. These are the ones only that I know about. I've never been to State College, Pennsylvania, so I've never had Penn State's ice cream, even though my grandpa was a Nittany Lion. Anyway, but Cornell's ice cream is good. But UConn's ice cream, like they milk their own cows. They have their own cows. They milk them and they make it, and the seniors get to make a flavor. And so, like whatever, like the best one of the suggestions is like it's called Senior Scoop. So I got Senior Scoop. It was good. It was like a almond. It was like an amaretto kind of a flavor with chocolate chunks and some nut. I forget what nut. Whether it was more almonds or something better like pistachios. Not that almonds are worse than pistachio. But they just are. But you know what I'm saying. It was good. A little too amaretto for me. A little too much of the extract. But the texture was good. It was good, and I like to support a senior flavor.
Yeah.
So that was
that's great.
Yeah, food
That's
is
great. That's great. So my weird food thing for the week?
Sure.
Yeah, actually something super weird did happen to me. I boiled a gallon of milk, and it didn't boil over.
Huh.
It just sat in the pot, and it gurgled. And the core of me was shook that this, like the whole thing is to worry about that moment.
Yeah.
And now I am on a quest to buy a gallon of every possible type of milk, boil them side by side, and try to replicate it and understand why. Okay, and I'm not even a scientist. I'm almost like repelled by science and food, which I know this is difficult.
Yeah.
But I couldn't believe it. Like I was like, how is this milk not behaving in the way I'm accustomed to milk behaving?
And so, was it a different milk?
It was a different milk than I normally use, but it was like of the caliber, and I won't name names until I until I can confidently name names.
Yeah,
but it was really upsetting. I was like, why isn't this doing what it's supposed to?
Let me ask you this: so it's boiling, right? It didn't foam up at all.
it just kind of it kind of cappuccino latte'd a little, but that was it. It didn't like come up. It didn't start rising.
I don't even understand how that's possible.
I don't exactly.
Did you make yogurt from it?
I did.
And did it work?
It did work. So it wasn't like these ultra pasteurized milks that don't work. It was just baffled. I'm just fully baffled.
Yeah, because that's not something, and like, you know,
this is like a spiritual crisis.
You didn't have like a bunch of like silicone compounds rolling around. You weren't like boiling down like bicycle lubricant in that thing that's a minute before or something like this?
No, and I even got access to like a fancy copper pot. So like everything felt very legit, and it didn't happen.
Was it in front of a bunch of people, and were you embarrassed?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And now I'm here talking about it to really double down on that.
Look, this happens to me. It doesn't happen to me as much. When I used to do a lot of like kind of on the road demos, like a lot of them, and I always love using like local ingredients or whatever. But like often, you know, something that you think is always going to happen, someone hands you an ingredient, and you're like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I had a milk problem once, but with, you know, UHT. Like, they brought me the UHT milk, and I was trying to break it with, alcohol and acid. I was trying to break it into curds, and it just wouldn't break for a huge group of people. And I was being translated because I don't speak Spanish, and it was a nightmare. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Another time, also in front of a Spanish-speaking audience, also being translated, I got these awesome bananas that were like really sweet tasting, like super, like, you know, not the Cavendish like we get. And I was like, oh, these are really ripe. These are going to work no problem, because what I do is I blend them into liquor, rum, and then I put them in a centrifuge and I spit them out. And, you know, a Cavendish banana, when it's fully ripe, has no starch in it. These bananas, even though they were delicious, still had starch. And so it wouldn't clear out. And so like, and you get a perfectly, oh, son of a, in front of everybody, you know what I mean? I hate it.
But this, like, I mean, I hear you, and I will try to be forgiving, but I feel like this is milk. Like, milk needs to behave a certain way, otherwise I'm going to be very mad at it.
Yeah.
So I need to kind of understand what happened.
Okay, so how far away was it? And without, obviously, you're not going to name it, but like,
this was.
Can you source it again?
It was windy Connecticut. I'm going to source it again.
It's the wind.
I mean, it is the wind.
Maybe Nastasia has a stink eye zone around where she lives, where she can throw the stink eye onto the milk and have it not boil over.
I mean, and Mercury's in retrograde, so we may need to take all these factors into consideration.
Yeah. Well, you got to source that milk again.
I will.
And then, you know, somehow get word back, you know, to us what happened.
I will. Yeah.
Because repeatable weirdnesses are super interesting.
Super interesting.
I don't know.
Delightful, actually.
I don't know their non-repeatable thing. My family is against microwaving things in plastic, which whatever. I don't really want to get into it, but like quart containers are made of polypropylene, and you know they can withstand like a good bit of temperature as opposed to polyethylene or these other things, right? So I was melting butter because that's what I do. I don't know. Get a pan dirty? What am I? Get a pan dirty for that? Like find a mug? I don't know. What do you do, John?
I'd probably put it in a quart container and put it in the microwave.
Ding. Yeah. And so like I put it in there, but you know, I'm also super lazy, so I'm a one-button microwave guy. I hit the go button and then I walk away. And I must have hit the wrong go button because like 3 minutes later, I was like, why is the microwave still going? And it hadn't boiled over, which of course butter typically does, but it had boiled up the sides and it had turned to brown butter. I had accidentally made brown clarified brown butter in the microwave. And then I'm like, I'm never doing this again. I'm never going to do this again. But I was still like, you know, it was a nice thing to brush on top of my biscuits, you know?
Did it melt the plastic?
Depends on who you ask.
Right.
I don't think it melted the plastic.
That's all I need to know.
Yeah. The biscuits were good, though. I was using Sonora White, which is one of my favorite wheats. I've been now experimenting with a lot of Sonora. It's expensive, though. It's expensive wheat. Yeah. What about you guys? What are you with, Stas? You got anything?
No.
No? Just the wind? Just you and the wind?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you like to eat on a windy night? Pasta? Let me guess.
Oh, I don't know. It all sucks because of the wind.
What about a rainy night? Do you still love a rainy night? Did I put that song in your head? Have I poisoned your mind with that song?
Yeah, I thought it's fine, Dave. Right now, we're not really eating. I'm not really eating. We have other problems than like me thinking about you.
Our business, yeah, but not for this 1 hour a week. This 1 hour a week, we don't have those sort of business problems.
Well, I really indulge myself on rainy nights, and I go like full like cooking mode.
Yeah. Nice. Good to hear.
Yeah.
Good to hear. Yeah. What about you, Jack?
I impressed my girlfriend with this Searsol too. That's what just happened.
Nice.
She's always looking at it like, what? I don't get it. Like, yeah, the sous vide, but why would I want one? And then we had sort of, wood fire pizza at a restaurant and came home with some leftovers. And I was like, aha, the perfect moment to flex to you why you need a Searsol, and everybody does. I reheated the pizza, and she was like, "Oh my God, this is better than it was at the restaurant."
I appreciate
There you go.
I appreciate you, Jack. Although for like one small moment, I thought you were gonna whip out of like you had some sort of like fanny pack or something with the whole torch rig in it, and at the restaurant you're like, "Hold on a minute," and like doing it at the restaurant. That would be intense. Get you kicked out, but would it be intense?
Definitely get you kicked out. Yeah.
Oh, for sure, 100%. Even like Nastasi and I, at the height of our like bad behavior at Roberta's Pizzeria, never went that far, right, Stas?
Oh, that would have been great.
Yeah.
Like, hold on, let me fix this for you. Because the thing with the wood-fired pizza, especially, is like it's so time sensitive. If you don't eat that thing in the first like 5 minutes, it's chewy. I don't know.
So to you, is
it kind
that
of needs the Searsol table side?
To you, is that an inherent flaw, or is that couple of minutes where it is the way it is before that happens to it worth it to you?
For me, inherent flaw. I'm like, funny enough, like not a huge fan of that style pizza for that reason.
Huh. Okay. I think this is something, that, reasonable people can have disagreements about, I think. No right answer, wrong answer. Yeah. What about you, Quinn? You got anything for me?
I got two little things.
Okay.
One, I actually did a little yogurt project yesterday, kind of. I had some homemade, like, heavily strained yogurt, and I actually used that as the curdling acid for a mini batch of ricotta, and it was really good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Like a whole milk, you get good milk up there? In the great northwest west?
I didn't get the fanciest milk. I got like mid-tier milk, but
yeah,
it was good.
So,
and I also made.
Right.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, what's mid-tier milk to you?
Okay, it's like the big brand, but it's the organic one.
So wait. Okay, can I tell you something? People are going to get really pissed off. Booker bought with my credit card an organic milk. And when I looked at it, I said to him, "You just paid extra money for a label. Those people don't care about their product." And he was like, "What?" I'm like, "You just threw money into a toilet." I don't know, but I think I'm not the right person because I get like I only will pay extra if I feel somebody cares about their product. But that's me. But you think these people cared about their? For you, mid-tier, does it mean that you bought organic, or you think you bought something where they at least moderately cared?
Yeah, both. Like again, there is a like medium-sized brand of grass-fed milk that's relatively local. Mm-hmm. I usually try to get that if I'm doing like a serious milk project, but they didn't have it in stock at the time.
Okay. All right, did I leave anyone out? Anyone's got anything? John, did I leave you out?
Yeah, I went out the other night. I don't know, this is more like a question, I guess. When does a martini stop being a martini? So specifically, I went to this place and they had this whole martini menu. Vodka, vanilla, clarified passion fruit, lime, sherry, and sparkling wine. Like, that's not a martini, right?
No.
It's, yeah.
No. Although, listen, there's a couple of things. There's a few things that I hate more than semantic discussions of cocktail names. especially as it relates to what is what particular cocktail and what isn't. Because then, like, at the end of the day, everything is either a martini.
Yeah.
Sometimes people split things into, well, there's a martini and a Manhattan, and then everything else is a daiquiri, basically. Or maybe some people split off a margarita because it's got a liquor modifier. It's like, that's a. I'm like, no, you're all dunces. It's like, certain combinations of like sugar, acid, and alcohol. I don't know, but like to me, like a martini should be something that is a martini.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It was
like to me, an espresso martini, not a martini.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with a martini.
Agreed.
Glass. I think for like the thing is like people. I think a lot of people think a martini is anything that's served in that glass, which I also hate that glass. Oh, I hate that glass. Homie, you like those glasses, martini glasses?
I'm a big tradition. Like I like a show, so that glass is so showy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a spill waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like a coffee cup is a spill waiting to happen for me too. I'm not to be trusted with anything.
All right. That's fair. You know what the one good thing I'll say about a martini glass is? That it is relatively, if you are mixing while you are intoxicated, it is relatively insensitive to you messing up your measurements because you can add a little bit more or a little bit less to a martini glass. And because it is such a cone, right, that last little bit of glass can absorb a lot of extra stuff. And so it's easier to get a passable looking wash line in a martini glass. Everything else I hate about them. Oh. Do you like them when they have goofy stems, like little zigzag goofy stems?
No, I find that to be tacky. Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a bridge too far for me.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that there is a bridge.
I have a line. I have one line. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So I'm with you. Did whoever you were with disagree with you, John?
No, they were all kind of agreeing, but it was just, I don't know,
I mean, look, I think that you can take something like a martini, and if you like put a splash of sherry in it, as opposed to like the vermouth, depending on which sherry you use, I mean, whatever, that's close. You know what I mean?
Like sparkling prosecco,
no,
passion fruit.
No. I thought you were going to say, when does a martini stop being a martini? And it's like after about 5 minutes when it warms up.
Yeah, that's true.
Like the pizza.
Yeah, then it becomes filth. You know what I mean? Like, which is why I feel that martini should be short and drunk in a snappy fashion. You know? What about you, Joe? You got anything for us? No? Slow food week? All right. I feel like, sometimes you come in with a strong. Sometimes you come in with like a strong food something. You know what I mean?
Not this week, no.
Just usually you're
I've been making a lot of food for my son.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Like, do you know that Nastasi and I believe that there is a market for our centrifuge in baby food, but because I'm terrible at making claims for things, we haven't figured out what that market is. Would you say that's right, Nastasia?
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. Okay, check it. So, like, if you take... So, you know how you strain yogurt, obviously, since you have a yogurt company?
Yeah. Go on.
So, you can do the same thing to fruit, where you blend the fruit up, and I know you're anti-centrifuge. We'll get into it in terms of taking whey out of yogurt. But you can blend the fruit, and then instead of juicing it, even like purees, you can spin it in a centrifuge, and the juice comes off the top, and what's left over is like God's baby food. It's
Pulp.
like,
Yeah.
But like the pectin's been wiped out, so it's like hyper smooth. Makes Gerber look like fools. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, it would only be for the fanciest of babies. Of course, everyone wants to think their baby's fancy.
Every baby's fancy. Yeah.
But I find it kind of repugnant to try to make people feel guilty about one more thing when they're a parent.
Sure. That you're not giving them the fanciest.
Yeah, you're not giving her.
You didn't centrifuge your baby pulp.
Yeah, so you're a bad mom.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's fewer things worse than putting
Shame.
more guilt onto a mom. You know what I mean? Like, and let's face it, it's going to be the mom. 9 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10, you're making the mom feel guilty because it's sexist, but dad's not going to give as much of a crap as the mom. It's just historically true, I would guess.
Yeah. Just by being here, my kids are eating crap right now. That's all right.
All right.
Michael's doing his best.
All right. Okay, so let's get to the book. Now, the book is called, well, first of all, let's how am I going to get into this? So first of all, talk about the company, because a lot of people know, you don't ship far, right? So you have to be kind of in this region to know White Moustache. That's part of the shtick. First of all, named after your dad's. Apparently your dad has a luxurious, amazing mustache.
Yes. Yeah. He has a big white handlebar mustache. He's had it my whole life. I'm 44. And if you got rid of it, it would be heartbreak. I wouldn't even recognize him.
Does it look similar to the one that's on the yogurt?
Yeah. It's identical. It was like, totally molded after his look.
Does he have to apply wax? Yeah, I have a picture. Yeah. Does he have to apply wax or anything to it?
He uses a special silver shampoo now. We get it for him so he can just keep it up. You could kind of see it here in profile. I'll put up a picture.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. But he always regularly has turmeric or beet juice stains on it. He's not very on brand.
So it could be a yellow mustache from time to time.
There he is.
Does he ever? Oh, that's so strong.
Yeah.
That is a strong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he ever eat beet juice on one side of his face and turmeric on the other, and do like a Harley Quinn kind of a situation?
No, but my kids have recently watched The Lorax, and so now he's very committed to getting some color in there.
Oh yeah. The Lorax. How old are your kids?
3 and 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have them watch the original Lorax, or the BS new one with the songs.
I don't know. I don't know if it was new. I thought it was good.
Did it have a lot of songs and a lot of modern animation, or was it more like 22 minutes long and, I'm the Lorax, I speak for the trees, and that's pretty much it?
I don't remember. Yeah.
I like the old Lorax, but I'm old. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how it goes.
I only watched in the background. I was like, this is my one chance to do laundry. So
yeah.
I was,
Yeah, I get you. All right. So you have this yogurt company, and although it's super fancy, I'm just going to say that. I know that when I was talking to our publisher, to our editor rather, I was like, "Yo, she's super fancy," and Melanie, our editor, was like, "No, no.
She's real basic. She's not fancy at all."
Well, fancy in a bad way, I guess. You know what I mean? It costs what it costs because of how you do it.
Yeah.
And it's in a nice glass jar. So it has the appearance of being, it has the hallmarks of being a very fancy product.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. And I think I love the process so much and revere the process so much that fed every decision on how to present it, because I also didn't know how to bring it to your house in a big tub, which is what I actually want to do. And so if I'm going to put it on shelves and ask you to have this be a part of your DNA, I'm going to make it really as special as the 3-day process that it takes to make it is. And that was what informed it. And I could see how it comes off as being very special. And the price is also very luxurious. And there have been times during my journey in making White Moustache, I haven't been able to afford my own yogurt on the shelves. And I get that. I've learned a lot about how groceries are priced. Much of it is not in my control, especially when I can't supply the amount that is on demand. So just a lot of factors that go into it. But yeah, I am a little upset that the impression is that it's fancy when my whole life this was made as common. And,
maybe
I teach you to make it as a very special thing, but to make it regular, to make it normal.
I mean, maybe that's just me, but because as I said earlier, well-known bad person. But I think it's interesting to hear you talk about it. This is also kind of reading the book. You get in the first section is an interesting kind of history of one of the histories you bring, because there's several histories in the book, but one of the histories is the history of the company itself, right? So. Quickly, you're a lawyer in 2008. You get laid off and you are trying to figure out what to do. Tell me when I get this wrong. And you're like, you reconnected with starting to make this yogurt. You're living in California at the time, right?
Correct.
and you got to tell this next story. So you basically have been out of a normal job other than working on an avocado farm or whatever you were doing. Yeah, you really worked on an avocado farm in the off season.
I did.
What work is there to do on an avocado farm in the off season?
I just chain smoked and was really depressed for 3 months. It was terrible.
Did they pay you to do that?
No, if there was work, they would have. But like, I just kind of was like hanging, and like the owner was this like older couple, and they were lonely, and they were like, cool, somebody wants to hang out on this little casita on the property. And it was just all very poorly informed. And I was just looking for something different so I wouldn't get sucked back into like a legal career in New York City.
Yeah, and you were like corporate law.
I was a corporate, like a couple blocks away from here.
Yeah.
I was doing securities and derivatives. I was really bad at my job, actually, but I enjoyed it. Like, I thought, this was my hallmark of having made it. Right. And, go work in a fancy office with a fancy salary and fancy clothing. And I just, once I got laid off, I was like, please don't go back there. Like, don't do it. Like, find something else. Well, the avocado farm was just my portal into.
Right, that just seems such a random portal. Fun, interesting, but you think it's going to be interesting, I guess, and it's not.
No, yeah. It was very disappointing.
Well, so you said in the talk that I saw you give and in the book, the various reasons why you think you felt compelled to succeed in a very public, visible way as a lawyer, right? I don't know how much you want to talk about that and how, because now you have obviously a very good success in what you're doing now, how you see that as kind of different. Like, in terms of what you write in the book, it seems that your success in this is built around something that is important to you and to your core as a person, and not as just an external sign of success, which is, my impression of what you felt about what you were doing. Somewhat self-imposed, somewhat societally imposed. It didn't seem to come from your parents in the book.
No. I think, I wish it came from my parents. I could blame them for it, and this would be real easy and fun for me. But I think I internalized an idea of what success meant and and I just, I came here from Iran at the age of 7, and I immediately developed, almost like a chip on my shoulder that I had to prove that I belonged here, that I proved that I was worthy, that I had proved that I deserved a seat. And that just led to overachieving at school, to get the A+, to get into a good school. And I latched onto this identity as an attorney, or this identity as a lifestyle. And I achieved it. And it was almost blindly following that. And then once I got laid off, I looked for any reason, it was almost like a spiritual thing for me. The avocado farm was a desperate plea for help. And the yogurt is one, it just weaves every part of my very complicated identity and background and skill set into something that is, I feel is so worth sharing with others, and is so rewarding, and is so difficult to do every day, but kind of it just completely consumes me. And I feel so grateful it's like finding someone you've fallen in love with, and you're like, holy crap, this is incredible. And I never gave myself that chance before, because I just had this tight iron grip on some weird notion that I imposed on myself. It's kind of sad, kind of happy, kind of whatever it is, what it is.
Well, it's also interesting. You write that when you were casting about for things to do in between 2008 and 2011, that you hadn't considered yogurt before, because it was just it was always there. It was not for you, for culturally in your family, it's just always there, and so it wasn't. But then it became kind of this amazing thing to kind of reconnect these stories with your dad, sitting around, him telling you about, the sandwich shop that he, I guess used to work in, or, and so it became this way. And so part of what I think is interesting and what the book is really about is here's, you starting this business, reconnecting yourself to yourself and to your past. In fact, and we brought this up, and even though there's no cursing on the show, at least not if we can help it, I like also that you have this amazing on your. These are end papers, right?
Yes.
Yeah. This amazing right, and you said you held up publication of the book so you could get rights for it.
Yeah, and this is a very traditional like tablecloth. I think I've seen this in every Iranian household, and it just like screams food to me. Like, put food on this table.
Oh, really? So you see this and you're like, I'm getting ready to eat.
Yeah, this like tablecloth to me. Yeah. And I think it's from the Victoria and Albert Museum.
Love the V&A.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful end paper, and we waited and. Norton was incredible in
what was
getting
I looking
that.
up? What were we talking about? Yeah.
Cursing my
See,
children.
You help me. Most of the time when I forget my train of thought, people can't help me. They don't remember what my train of thought was, but you do.
Yeah, I'm
Come back anytime. All right, so this book, well, you want to read it. About you
All of it?
F, you say just
Oh, right, I
use
understand.
F.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so this is a dedication to the book. It says this book is dedicated to all immigrants who are with humility, grace, and a relentless sense of humor, constantly explaining themselves to others, and to my daughters, in whose strong and beautiful hands I place the responsibility, joy, and privilege of carrying on our traditions. Don't F it up.
Yeah. And so and that's, throughout the book, it's that mix of like tradition, self-deprecation, and also, but this, I'm serious. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And I think I struggled with the don't F it up because I was like, one day my kids are actually going to read this, and what kind of relationship am I going to have with them when they do? But I also think, so my family is Zoroastrian, and it's an Iranian Zoroastrian, and it's a group of, it's a religious minority and also like an ethnic identity. Like, there's a language, there's a food, there's music, there's songs, there's history that are very particular to this group of people. And I have felt like whatever the positive word for burden is of carrying these traditions on and knowing that they're going to be either diluted or disappear with me. Like, my kids are probably not going to speak the dialect of daddy that I speak and know. And I've felt this pain my whole life and this like sadness around this my whole life. And I don't know how I'm going to teach or talk about it to my kids, but I want it to be light a little bit. And it's almost like I want to share my story and these stories more for you and for my peers and for people I've grown up with and other Americans, to just like share these stories that you may otherwise not have access to, and how I bring my kids into it and how I decide to hold on and teach and carry and preserve is like a journey that I'm still figuring out and will figure out. But like, as I was like, I want to write this book as authentically as this like Iranian Zoroastrian experience as possible, to honor my other peers who I think have felt this way in the Iranian Zoroastrian community, but then also like give you kind of like a fly on the wall look into like this world. And, I have the tool of food and I have the tool of language, and that's kind of it. And, I hope parts of it are funny. I hope parts of it are, skeptical. I just wanted to just, the feelings thing you said earlier was like, I was like, yeah, exactly. Like, I just want this to be sappy and cheesy and like really about like the human experience, that I can only like safely tell my story through the language of food.
Right. I mean, I know almost nothing about Zoroastrianism, like almost nothing.
Why would you?
I mean, what I didn't realize is that even though it hasn't been the state religion there, in, 1,700 years, 1,400 years about, it hasn't been the state religion, that it's still a lot of the cultural underpinnings of like the culture of Iran is still Zoroastrian based. You want to talk about that like a little bit? Because I didn't know about that like at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Zoroastrianism was one of the first monotheistic religions of the world. And it was the religion of the Persian Empire when it was like this vast empire. And now the Persian Empire has dwindled into modern day Iran. And, this is why, like, Iranian culture, Persian culture is different than its bordering Arab cultures. It's very much rooted in its Zoroastrian heritage. So something like Nowruz, which is the first day of spring, which marks the first day of our calendar, is based on the seasons. It's the spring equinox. And every Zoroastrian holiday is about the seasons. There's 6 gambars which celebrate harvests. Every equinox and every solstice, we have a big holiday on. And these were ways for people in the past to like mark time, to just get through the darkest night of the winter, to think about food and feeding each other, to get ready for spring, to slaughter their animals, to harvest their pomegranates. And to mark the time together as community. Right, but when you were talking before, you were saying there's like a lot of things that are just, without taking on religious aspects, kind of good things to do, like a New Year. You were talking about visiting. Yeah. So the Persian New Year, there's a tradition. And so the New Year in Iran lasts like a whole month. And there's a very lovely tradition called Dido Bazdid. And it literally means like see and be seen. So we invented that a long time ago. But like you go to the homes of your elders and anybody who's lost a family member. So any home that's in mourning or in grieving. And, so you visit them first in your community. And then it's just like a free-for-all of visiting and being a host. So like both a guest and a host kind of like have equal weight, and it's an honor to be both of those kind of roles. And that lasts for a whole month. And like to me, it's just so obvious, like an obvious behavior. Like it's springtime, you've spent all winter, like, and you like just like the sprouts come up, you go out and you visit, and it's just like it's very in tune with nature, which I mean, even I myself have lost track of. Over there's also like a treat yourself aspect, right? Like get some clothes. Yeah, you get your brand new clothes. Treat yourself. You get good food. The rice and the fish to mark the first day of the new year. So if you get the book, you had this or the interesting of. I think we used to do the same thing also, not to the same level. Like what's the name for the culture of refusing and then being offered like a million times? Oh, tarof. Yeah. Yeah. My husband he refuses to do tarof, and I'm like horrified by like he'll take the last piece of like a cake or someone offers him something and he'll immediately take it, and I'm like, oh God. But then I try to explain it to him. I'm like, you know what, this is not going to make any sense, but you have to say like a little bit of a dance. We used to do it. It's like 2 or 3 times, depending on like how formal things were going. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. You want some more? Yeah. No. Yeah. No, I couldn't. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like, yeah. Come on, but then have some. Yeah. Yeah. And then like you eat like 3 plates of it, and I offer you a 4th, and I'm like, oh, you didn't like it. Yeah. You didn't like it. Oh, you didn't lick that yogurt jar. Oh, you didn't like it. All right. Do you take offense when people don't fully clean out the yogurt jar, especially because you had to work so hard to make it? Well, it's because I've seen people lick the yogurt jars, right. So now when I see them not do, I was like, wait, what? Like, but I'm crazy. Yeah, it's fine. So back to this, like one more time. Yeah. The other thing that kind of runs through it, and you were saying it kind of telling your kids they have to carry on the tradition, don't F it up, is this sense of sadness of the dwindling of the community. There are only, I'm going to say off the top of my head, around 20,000 Zoroastrians left in Iran, more worldwide, but from what I can gather on the internet's not a proselytizing religion, so not growing really even in the diaspora. Yeah. So this like worry, as you say, that this kind of like old, vibrant culture and whose food you highlight here so well, along with some new recipes because you need to use the whey. We'll get into that in a minute, right? Yeah. It's got to feel like a big responsibility, no? Yeah, and like I think I've embraced like my struggle with it, with like the whey and evolving and new recipes. And there is a large Parsi community, which is the Indian Zoroastrians, and I do think that the youth of the community is evolving, is adapting, and I think that like that's all very wonderful, but there is this very small Iranian Zoroastrian community, and I feel just a little bit of like an artificialness in keeping up our traditions in the diaspora. Like it's all so connected to the land, and it's all so connected to behavior. Like I'm not harvesting pomegranates every October, I'm not.
That would be a lot.
Yeah, it would be a lot. And even like Nowruz, like so many years is like fallen in the middle of finals week or whatever it is.
Yeah, but you also give me like there's a lot of FOMO stuff here. Like freaking, you're like, if you take pomegranates, if you don't drink the juice right away, it sucks.
Yeah. I
mean, but like how many of us can juice the pomegranate like right away because we're buying crappy pomegranates here anyway.
Right, but you told me yourself that like after 5 minutes that pizza's crap and
yes.
martini's trash.
Yes, but now I want the real. Now I want the real. Mm-hmm. Well, you were saying you used to save. You'd save the pomegranates that could keep, and then the ones with splits, you would do the juice right away to make the molasses.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So you drink it and then you make the molasses because you're just doing piles and piles of it, and it's all done in like it just like obscene community bulk. Like that pot is huge and it's on like this enormous like wood fire and somebody's tending to it for like 24 hours because it has to reduce by like over 50%. And then
I'm sure you can scorch it if you're not careful.
Yeah, you could scorch it if you're not careful as it gets thicker.
Any brands that you recommend as being okay?
For the pomegranate molasses?
Yeah.
Like Sadaf always does a really good job. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
All right. So now let's get to the yogurt so I don't run out of time on the yogurt. So, again, going back to what you were saying about, you realize that, the product is not cheap, right? Not that you're charging just because you can, but, you're making it all by hand. You're putting in glass. You're distributing it locally. You also will not make more yogurt. And this is, by the way, all right, I need to get to the yogurt. Let's do the yogurt first. We'll do the yogurt. So you give instructions for making the yogurt the way that you actually do it.
Yep.
Smaller batch, but the way you actually do it. And you're like, don't attempt to make yogurt less than a gallon. You don't like machines that make yogurt.
Correct.
Like the old Sultan. Remember that?
The little containers.
Little cups.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with this? Anyway, like little cups. Yeah. So you're anti that. You don't use temperature control.
Correct.
And in fact, so you're using a lot of retained heat, right? So you're roughly speaking, your batch is a gallon. You boil it. We were talking earlier about you boiling milk. You boil it, and then you let it cool down. You do not give a temperature for the milk in the book. This gives me immense agita. And you say into it, which is true, that all of our, pinkies are pretty well calibrated. And you do a pinky test. I believe it's a 3-second pinky test.
I don't do a pinky test. Generations of humans have done. I'm just sharing what I've learned. This is not mine.
Got it. Okay. And it's, I forget the exact words you use. It's like comfortably for 3 seconds.
It's not a masochistic test.
That's the problem.
Yeah. I know.
I don't understand what comfort is. Mm-hmm. And so, I can't, I'm like, honestly, I do tests where it's like, until it's so painful you can't keep it in anymore. That's how I work a test because to me, that's a more, comfortable. What does comfortable mean? I'm never comfortable.
Right.
What does it mean?
I invite you to be at
All right,
peace
so
with this process.
Tell me where this is.
So, yeah, I say things like...
I have a cup of hot water. For those of you that can't see on the Patreon, I have a cup of hot water here.
He's going to make me put my finger in it.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh, sadist. No, too hot.
Too hot.
Yeah.
So
And also, I will point out, this is a plastic cup.
Okay.
And so, my body feels that. And so I know that, if I were to inoculate this with, bacteria... it's going to be different. It's the temperature dissipates differently. That's why I say glass bowl, ceramic bowl. And then we're going to put the blankets over. So it's the pinky test is important, but then wrapping it up and letting it retain its natural. Yeah.
No, for sure. No, I disagree. You're getting a thermal mass in there. You're heating up the thermal mass with the milk so that it stays at that temperature and you're wrapping it with a bunch of blankets. I'm with you.
But talk about it like it's still milk. Talk about it like it's still like this maternal nutrition that some cow parted with. Like, I will not G chat robot this process for us. I won't do it.
I just need. So this is too hot. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
So that's not comfortable anymore.
Would you put your baby in that?
Oh, that's what comfort is.
Well, you know,
They didn't let me bathe my kids.
it's too hot.
That's too hot.
It's too hot.
All right. Wait, so you're talking like baby bathwater comfort.
Baby bath water.
Okay. So like Will.
And also notice how, like on this one in particular, the top, like I can be okay on the top, but if you go a little bit, like your baby's feet would be boiling, you'd be pissed, baby.
Yeah. I would just say,
No amount of fancy pulp food is gonna make up for putting your baby in that.
so like, once the kids could talk, they would just say,
Yeah.
that's too hot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? Oh, see, like I would have thought that is, I don't know. Yeah. We're 134. Let's see where we are right at the end of the show. You tell me when you're close. I want to see where we are just so that I don't. So I'm sure there's someone out there like me who just gets very anxious without like a number to pin their life on.
Tell me why. You don't want to get it wrong.
I can answer also.
Okay. What do you got, Quinn?
Well, my issue is I'm not doing it.
Oh.
I'm telling people what to do.
Right, because Quinn has to have other people like do the actual physical cooking for him. So he has to then explain to somebody else. And he might not have a personal reference for it. Quinn has a different need for a temperature than I do.
I can't do it. I can't do a pinky test.
Right. Yeah, it's true. I mean, but I guess in the theory of the book, you could have the person who's doing it do the pinky test, but then you're disconnected from it one more thing.
Right.
Right. How do you know if they're right? That's true. That's true, Quinn. We're going to help you today, Quinn, because I have Chris Young's combustion engineering thermometer here, which is the most accurate one I could muster, and a cup of water. I'm going to get you a number, Quinn. She doesn't have to sign off on it, but we're going to get you a number. Anyway, I see the validity of both sides.
No, it's fair. And to me, I think we lose something about intuitive intelligence when we nail down a temperature in like, if you nail down a temperature in this, it's going to all roughly be the same. So it really doesn't matter, actually. But whether you do it in this bowl or a different bowl or another bowl, like I really want you to know how to do this anywhere you go, in any bowl with any milk, which apparently might be suspect given my experience last week. But like if you've taken a bath, if you've comfortably have a heartbeat that has your body temperature at a regular temp, like you can be at one with this milk. And I know I sound obnoxious to scientists, and I embrace your anxiety.
Yeah. So what it is for me is that like I'm okay doing it that way once I have a gauge. Once I understand. Once we're talking the same language, I'm okay. Like I don't use a thermometer most of the time when I'm cooking.
Right. But the thermometer comes first.
The benchmark comes. It's another like a lot of these recipes.
Yeah.
That I need to get to the listener questions first. But like a lot of these recipes, you read them like, oh my god, I want to taste that. But also, I know that if I make it, it's not. It might be delicious, but I can't say I've had it because I haven't had the benchmark. Do you know what I'm saying? So like I can make something that's delicious, like the meatballs with the pomegranate molasses and the walnuts. I'm like, that sounds delicious.
Right.
I can make that.
Right.
Is it going to be?
Right.
Is it going to? Would you like it? Probably not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I mean, I think this is what's difficult about cooking from a book in general. Like, I feel like I can, like, we're doing this human to human, right? And we're going to get to like and I'm explaining it and I'm showing, and you're like watching my face and I'm putting this, like, same thing with the meatball and the pomegranate. Like, if we were to make that side by side, you would learn so much of like my intuitive techniques of making even the stupid meatballs and the size and like how I stew it and when I stew it. You just learn so much more than I could ever impart, even like for my kids, So you are going to F it up, but it's about almost imparting the stories and the feelings. And then when, like, say you you eat it. Like even eating it is going to inform you on how to make it. And
what's that dish called again? That's your sister's favorite.
Fesenjun, yeah.
All right, let's get to the listener question so that I don't. But remind me, we got to talk about these ingredients that are mislabeled, like the Iranian shallot.
Oh yes, it's just semantics, but yes.
But
yeah,
but people
big
say
deal.
shallot, and you say it doesn't taste like a shallot. Isn't a shallot? Don't call it a shallot. Why call it a shallot?
It's familiarity and access.
Musir. Now I want. Okay, but that you can buy.
Yes, Sadaf online.
Okay, all right. From Misplaced Enthusiasm, question. Oh my God, it blurred out. Oh my God. Quinn, get the question from Misplaced Enthusiasm up. It blurred out on my printout. All right? You got
again,
it?
there was a reference, either Iranian yogurt issue here. There was a reference to some Reddit post where someone threw out their partner's yogurt collection, and they were wondering if Iranian yogurt would be illegal to import, like from Iran.
Well, you want to talk about how you got shut down in freaking California?
Well, I did but like that was California law in terms of bringing things over from Iran. I feel like that's a sanctions question out of my depths. I would say no.
But are there other yogurts that are imported that aren't manufactured here
from Iran?
No, from anywhere. Like are like the yogurts that are quote unquote French? Are they actually French, or are they from here?
I actually think I don't think yogurt gets imported. I think it gets made here.
Yeah.
But I'm not 100% sure.
The sanctions on the Iranian products is nuts. We used to get such good stuff for that couple of years in like
pistachios.
Yeah. He died last year, but Beirut Shafiri used to bring these amazing Sharifi, I always forget. Anyway, he used to bring these amazing products in, like these weird, like, remember the mana he used to bring, Stas?
Yep, I do.
Beirut was an interesting cat. Biked around, biked everywhere.
All
right, from Fupjack, what was it? So Quinn, was there an answer there, or you just wanted to comment on? Is it possible to?
Yeah, there's a comment. Yeah.
So, having had yogurt, back there and here, if they're having your product, how close is it to the stuff that you would have over there?
I think it's just the way we eat it in Iran is so different because we eat it savory. And here I've presented it mostly with fruit on the bottom. And so our preserves are all Iranian, like sour cherry, date, quince, and orange blossom honey. But when we have yogurt, we eat it savory or plain and like very saucy consistency. So we have a Persian yogurt that's not strained and we douse our food for. So it's for lunch and dinner that we eat yogurt. Rarely ever. Never for breakfast.
Now I want this, the Musir, the shallot yogurt.
Yeah.
I want that.
I will be more than happy to get it for you.
Fupjack writes in, what can I do with leftover whey? I know there's suggestions in the Yogurt Whey book, and I have it. They've ordered it. It'll be in their hands soon. I'm always looking for more ideas because there's always extra whey. Well, that's the whole book.
That's the whole book.
But like brining, anytime you use buttermilk, you're throwing in whey.
Yeah.
Why don't you put salt in with the whey when you're using it as brine? Why not salt? Because my buttermilk brines have salt in it.
Yeah, I want to keep the probiotics alive and I don't want to salt them out. And also, I don't think the salt is necessary at all. Because when I brine the turkey, like sometimes when I salt brine a turkey, those drippings are too salty for me to use. But if I just use a whey brine, those drippings are like very accessible and tangy and like already acidic.
I feel like I could sit here and have an in-depth argument on the drippings problem for another 2 hours, so I will not even start. Jared Johnson, my yogurt, which I started from kefir, was initially great, but after a while, subsequent batches have a smell a little bit like blue cheese. How do I discourage these organisms that make this flavor? And you talked about this in your talk about cultures reusing it too many times. Yeah,
so kefir confuses me a little bit because my understanding of kefir and the difference between kefir and yogurt is that yogurt is with a bacteria starter and kefir is with a fungal starter.
Well, kefir is a little bit of everything, I think.
Too hot. Yeah, and yeah.
She paused not because she was testing the water again for me. I
Yeah.
made her test the water while she was talking. Sorry. Yeah.
It's just
But you had
the plastic cup is really throwing me.
Yeah, I'll stir it for you. You had a number though on how many times you'll reuse it.
Oh, for yogurt, I'm gonna leave the kefir part aside. But for yogurt, using bacteria probiotics, I really don't like using it more than 30 times from like previous batches. I find the yogurt gets very, very stretchy. But if it's turning into blue cheese, that's a mold issue. And I'm actually not that familiar with kefir fungal grains. So,
But you're saying no matter what, like there's an upper limit.
there is it's not like sourdough or what I've heard about sourdough.
Yeah. Although you also, like I say, in the book, back to Fubjack, basically in this book, you're like biscuits instead of buttermilk. How about whey?
Yeah.
Pancakes. How about whey? Faux sourdough instead of using spent. I use spent because I have a lot of spent sourdough stuff. How about whey instead? Right? I mean,
Yeah, I do. And it's like so wild because I'm such a traditionalist about the yogurt, but I'm like, ceviche with whey, cocktails with whey, like really go nuts with this whey.
Right, but you're using sushi grade because the acidity, it's not nearly as acidic.
Correct,
It's like
not
a couple
nearly
orders
as
of magnitude. All right, we still got time. We're still going. Chaz wants to know what's your favorite mesophilic yogurt culture strain to buy, I guess.
I don't.
Like, what should they buy when they're making their... Do you give recommendations on what to buy here?
Buy plain yogurt and use that as your starter.
One that you like?
Yep,
All
and
right.
one that has as many strains. Like my yogurt has 7 strains of bacteria in it. So, but only find a yogurt that has only milk and probiotics and use that as your starter.
All right. Any general ideas where your yogurt can be purchased?
Manhattan and Brooklyn, and at the Italy in Los Angeles.
So when you... Well, all right. So when you come into town... look for it.
Yeah.
Mark Thomas wants to know, how can I get whey without a centrifuge? Now, I know you hate centrifuges for whey, but our centrifuges that we use don't do it the way that those industrial ones do. They get a very clear whey on top because it literally just, it doesn't, you're not forcing the whey through something. The whey is settling out on top. Does that make sense?
Are you losing any of the yogurt on the metal, whatever?
No.
I'd like to see it.
And we'll do once we get another batch in, we'll do one for you.
Yeah.
We'll do one for you.
I like using fabric. I think it's good for both the yogurt and the whey.
Right. So you should check out the book, and some things that we didn't get to talk about that I was excited to talk about is this crazy black garlic pickle that you have that's 2 decades old that you then have a faster way to make it. This is not the black garlic that you guys are thinking about that comes out of Asia where it's cooked for a long time. It's literally like in vinegar for 2 decades. There's a faster way to do it with whey. Is that something I need to taste in my life?
The black vinegar, absolutely.
What's it called again? Torshi sear?
Sear, yeah, it's just black.
I need that.
Yeah,
I need that in my life.
Yeah.
The other two ones are the yogurt that is cooked down and then you make a sauce. What am I? I'm losing the name for
Cash?
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Need that in my life?
That you need in your life. And every form of yogurt you need in your life.
And then when you make that, you use whey, then you super sour it, you mix it, you super sour it, you boil it, it breaks, you get another whey, and then you boil that down into like this like...
almost like black caramel. So you have the cash, which is the solids, and then you have the black roux, I don't know, which I hate, but I had to include it because my cousin loves it and he disowned me. But
Nice.
it's very tart and tangy and like... And it's
But you
like,
can't make that with normal, but you do have whey caramel in the book.
yes. Yeah.
Right.
For
And-
sweets.
Right, and so I'll leave it on this. I know we don't have time to talk about it, but you literally have limited your yogurt production because you will not make yogurt that you can't find a use for the whey, right?
Yeah. I want my whey sales to drive my yogurt.
All right, and we're going to
that's the goal.
taste as soon as we leave. You brought some whey for us to taste. What's the
Yeah.
difference?
Plain and pineapple.
Plain and pineapple whey, so you can buy the whey where you can buy the yogurt. And I've been making some good cocktails with the whey because it foams very nicely. I've been making simple syrup with your whey, and
incredible.
it foams very, very nicely. Obviously, we could talk more. Maybe we'll do an event together sometime.
That would be incredible. Thanks for trying it.
Thanks for coming on, Homa. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I would do it.
All right, cooking issue. Oh, wait, now 100 Fahrenheit, people. 100 Fahrenheit. We have now removed the soul from the yogurt. Cooking issues.